So, okay, first of all, I mean, people have been taking these meds for 12 years. Could there be side effects like what was the medication, fen? Like, could it be that like in 30 years from now, we're going to know something? Potentially, but it's in general like safe for diabetics, and they have like all these issues. So, I mean, it could be that we'll see. It could there is an option that in 30 years from now, we're all of a sudden going to see. But at that point, I don't know if like people are going to be dying out of old ages. So, like, I don't know.
No, I totally understand.
People to identify it. But I think it depends on the person and depends on why you're going on it. So there's a couple different things. For me, for example, I went in it because my lifestyle changed and I started doing different things. And then I went in it and my brain changed. Like I changed my habits and I changed who I am. Like I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Right.
I'm not saying you'll never in my entire life see me drinking alcohol, but it'll happen like once or twice a year. It's just not who I am anymore. I just don't do it. I changed the way I think. I changed the way I act. The drug helped me realize that I'm not putting this in my body, not because I don't want to gain weight. It's because it's actually not healthy for my body. And it does something called real-time feedback, which I'll talk about as well, which helps you change your brain. But I do believe the drug actually rewires how people think if you're at the correct dose. The key to this drug and what everyone needs to know is the dose. That's really, it comes down to the dose. You have to know how to dose your patients on it, and patients have to know, like, if they're trying to guess what they're doing, they're making like a really scary decision, because like you don't guess like your thyroid medication. Why are you guessing this? And so it all comes down to the dose. So I always look at it like this, like patients have an ability to make a decision, or people have an ability to make a decision about what they want to eat, right? And they like don't have a lot of self-control, let's say, or their food noise is really strong and they suffer with that. And so let's say most people are like, who struggle with weight are like, here's like really, really hard, here, whatever. It's like hard for us. And we keep on making the wrong decisions because I don't know, mindless eating, impulsivity. Okay. You go on these medications and you have the ability to go like basically turn the volume to like 100 or whatever you want to call it, zero. Turn the volume to zero, meaning I'm never hungry. Like I'm dropping weight. I'm never hungry. Like I can go all day without eating. I can even go 2 days without eating. I'm just never hungry. It's amazing, right? The problem with this is that when you do that to a patient, or a patient does that to themselves, you put yourself at really great risk. You're always going to need that drug because you're not developing the muscles that you need to make different decisions. And so the second you go out so usually patients like lose a lot of weight, they're really sick, they're like, I'm nauseous all the time. And then they get to the point where like, this isn't worth it. People are so radical. It's like they go from like, I'm nervous, and then they go here, and then they're like, I'm going off of it. And then they gain all the way back, plus even more. And then also it's almost harmful because one, you didn't eat. I mean, it is harmful. One, because you didn't eat correctly, but two, you now forgot what it feels like to be hungry. And you have this raging hunger, and like you're like not knowing how to eat, what to eat. And then suddenly your portions even become larger. And you're just like, I don't know, I used to eat till I'm full. And now I'm still eating till I'm full, but now it happens to be 3 portions. And so you're not developing the muscles to learn about how to listen to my body, how to eat correctly. And that's dangerous. So you need to always put a patient like over here. You have to like kind of like art and science together about how you're going to dose them, so that one, they're like, I am hungry, but I actually went for the salmon instead of the cookie. And then I didn't need to eat the cookie because I felt fine. And then I had like a good dinner, and patients are starting to move away from processed food and more going to like whole foods. Those decisions that you hear people making when they're on the right dose are awesome. Those people may be able to go off of it.
I see.
It really just depends. Like menopausal females, I think they'll be able to go off it because their weight gain is more hormonal.
Sure.
And so they need like trizepatide to help move the hormone shift. People who suffer with obesity their entire life, you're talking about someone's brain that's really different. Going on this medication for a year and expecting them to keep the weight off will be really hard. They need to be on it more long term, but it really depends on habits and their environment. And they make changes to their environment. Then you have like people who are like emotional eaters or binge eating. As long as they're in therapy, like you slowly can titrate them off of it. People who are on it for like inflammatory reasons like IBS, probably being on like a low dose will help them like for a while. It's not like it is lifestyle choices, but the medication itself is helping with the inflammatory pathway. So it's almost, they're using the drug a little bit differently than someone who's going on it for weight loss.
Right. That's beautifully said. And so maybe let's get into the dosing a little bit, because I think that's you said the art and the science here. So
Yeah.
obviously it's going to depend on the person, and that's the art part of it. Maybe we can stick to the science part, like how you think about this on the science side. And then you were talking about how you try to navigate where you're not trying to give them like zero hunger signals at all, because then like that, the rebound of that is nasty. It sounds like.
Yeah. It's like people should not do that to their patients. It's really mean.
It sounds like you're saying like if you go all the way to zero and then you take them off the drug, it's like a crazy, horrible rebound kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think about dosing then? I know that there's different drugs, and you can, if you want to give an example of any of them, or you can definitely do that. But what's your sense? I mean, if somebody's coming on it for, let's say, I mean, there's different reasons, right? So if they're coming on from like an obesity or diabetic perspective versus if they're going on for smoking or alcohol cessation, where is the dosing in there? How do you start and how do you titrate typically?
Sure. Everyone's different. So one, I like semaglutide in general better. But trizepatide works better for people who have like really resistant to their body losing weight. Usually it's people who suffer from obesity their whole life. They need like more receptors. They're a stronger drug.
Right. So maybe you could just tell the difference between the two, if you can just describe the difference between the two drugs.
One's a GLP-1 and one's a GIP. Okay, so backtrack. We have an active ingredient that we've been learning that helps with people. So that's called semaglutide. By the way, before these drugs, there was Byetta, Saxenda. These are medications that have been around for a long time that we've used for diabetes, right? But then your background is internal medicine.
Yep.
Yeah. So for all I know, you probably prescribe these drugs. So we've been using it for a while. And all of these help patients lose weight, but it's like we kept on advancing our game. And I think in a couple of years from now, I mean, Ozempic is going to be like, that's not as good as, the next one. But so semaglutide, then you have Novo Nordisk that patent Wegovy and Ozempic.
Right.
So it's an active ingredient. These companies patent it for certain indications. And then Eli Lilly went and they formed trizepatide and they patent it known as either Zepbound or Mounjaro. So they're the same thing. They're the same drugs, Zepbound and Mounjaro and Wegovy and Ozempic. Those are the same drugs with semaglutide. Just depends on the FDA's, depends on the indication. The more indications they get, then, the more people can get it covered by insurance. So that's really what's the indication game right now. And so with semaglutide, I in general like it better for impulses, meaning I think it helps with people's impulses much more. Trizepatide helps more with hormonal, or again, people who struggle with weight their whole life. I like the compounds better than prescribing Ozempic itself, because then I have to put the patient on 0.25. What happens if it's really high for someone? I have a patient who she was she was really struggling with her weight. She really wanted to go on it, but she's like, I am so scared to feel like I won't want food. And that scares me. And she's like, the first time I went on it, some doctor gave me the pen and I did 0.25. And she was like, I couldn't eat. I was crying for days. I felt horrible. Will it go away? I want my desire to eat. I don't want to shut that off. For her, it was too high. And so when you use compound formula, you could actually play with the doses a little bit more. So when we started her on it, we started her on 0.05, really, really low. And that was enough for just to introduce her body to the drug so it got over her fear of the medication. And then she did really well with 0.15. So she never even went up to 0.25. And then a lot of people on 0.25, they feel nothing. I like to keep people as low as possible for as long as possible, because you do feel tolerant to the drug, even though the drug companies say no comment on that. But I see it, I see it with myself. I see it with my patients. Eventually they need higher. So
people do need higher doses over time. Typically.
Oh, for sure. That's why if you go quickly, if you go up too quickly, or if you go to trizepatide as your first drug when you could do well on semaglutide, you're basically, if you run out, you're going to have to wait till the next drug comes out to help yourself if you're going up too high too quickly, because you're not learning, right? It's all about learning. It's about the process. It's the emotional muscles that are built, right? Even in business, we talk about the process. The process is always key. It's what you're learning as you're going to business, what you're learning as you're doing things in life. It's never the end result.
Of course.
The process gets you to the end result. It's literally everything that GLP-1s teach us is literally lessons that I learned, that we learn this in life. It's not the weight loss. It's the actions that you're doing that are going to cause your body to lose weight. That's going to help you have sustainable weight loss. not like you could use it as a cheat code, but it's never really going to get you anywhere long term.
Because you're always going to need more and more of the drug to get to where you are over time. And yeah, is what it
correct.
Right. Okay.
And, I don't know, maybe the medication isn't safe in high doses forever. Like we don't know what the next drug will be, that maybe they'll always need to be on the highest dose ever. Like I think you should just be on a lower dose for as long as possible, getting the effects you need to get. Because if you're going to control your brain to a point that you're never hungry, that is like a really bad thing to do to your body. Like the drug was never meant to be used like that. This got way out of hand. The drug was meant to use with lifestyle modifications. That was what the drug was used for. And then people took advantage of the drug and just completely turned off their appetite, which was never meant to be. And the dosages that were studied for like diabetics or people with like severe obesity. No one needs to be doing 2.4 like 3 months in. It's just too high. So if you could stay at a lower dose for as long as possible until it doesn't work for you, then you go higher. But through that time, you should be making different decisions. Like Understood. You should be able to walk away from the cookie. And if you're not, then okay, let's talk about it. And if you're feeling nauseous and vomiting all the time because you keep on having the cookie, then you need to sit down with yourself and say, why do I keep doing things that are harmful for my body? And you need to be like with an emotional eating therapist and talk about it. You need to do multiple different things at the same time. You cannot expect the drug to just fix all your problems.
Yeah. What is your average dosing, would you say? I mean, maybe it runs the gamut as far as what you're using, but what's your average dosing for most people, when they're looking at it mostly from maybe from a weight loss perspective? Do you find that also would the average be different for somebody that's using it for smoking cessation or alcohol abuse, or is it all around the same overall?
Everyone's different. There are certain patients with like IBS for inflammatory. I usually end up tending to go lower. Like they'll do fine in like 0.5, 1. They don't go up to 2.4 because it's controlling their inflammation. We don't need to control their appetite so much. With smoking cessation, that's like a big, I see a big range. Like there are people that work really well with 0.25. Like they just don't have the urge to smoke or drink. 0.50.
So it could be super low sometimes.
It could be super low. Yeah. And they could just move up with time. But remember that they're not looking for that appetite suppressant thing.
Right.
So they're getting results from just the drug working.
Right. That's cool. And so that really kind of puts on the train for me is like, because I have a lot of people that are in like longevity communities now that are talking about using these drugs in sort of micro doses, if you want to call them that, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what would be a micro dose versus what would be an actual dose. Maybe you can help me find that. But
I love that.
Yeah. But what's your sense from, I mean, that's where if you're talking about inflammatory downregulation in people with inflammatory disorders, but this is not for weight loss, this is for inflammation. Did you see this more in the train of, or like in the ideas of how they could potentially be helpful in longevity as well?